or line. Actually, that's a line.
Yeah, that page 44. Yeah, good. You know, long ago I used to have a worry about verify, but once I explained to you yesterday how you have to verify your username or password to confirm that you're not a robot for some of these sites, I really do believe that verify has kind of fallen off the list of being a problematic word anymore. Yes, ma'am.
Last week you had said that yesterday you would have given me the shading pencils or whatever.
Oh yes, I'll bring them. Yeah.
Shading pencil.
Mhm.
Oh, I shaded.
May we go over it?
Yep, we're doodle.
All right. Let me get a highlighter so we can take a look. This is a really good one, particularly for those that I'm concerned about. All right. So even those, who do not like New York, must admit that it is a truly, not really animated, but there's my cursor. It's a unique city. Quite unlike any other city in the world. But if we were going to talk about a more animated city, I'm going first and foremost to Orlando. Yeah, I mean, think with all the attractions there and the movement and the lights, how animated, literally in many parts, Orlando is. Okay. Oh, Las Vegas?
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Tokyo.
Miami.
Possibly, but we are talking about animated. Like, there's got to be a little bit of
Hollywood.
movement as well. No, I'm really thinking of the movement with the lights. Number two. Number two. Though the colonies had long, I don't have enough here. I'm going to say blank. With resentment at the British. Oh, okay. They didn't want the resentment. That's what hankered means. They seethed. They were angry. They were looking at you. They were giving you what we call as the hairy eye or the stank eye, going, I'm going to get you. They were seething with resentment at the British. Oh, and perfect for these times, the cauldron, the witches' big giant pot of boiling whatever. Their cauldron of their discontent did not boil over into rebellion until 1776.
That sounds so funny.
Yes, we take tea parties way too far in America. Number three, all the students in Sandra's advanced weaving class, okay, we already know what the answer is because this is the easy part for loom, are making small rugs on their portable looms. So it's all well and good, I think, as long as we're using loom as its noun, where we are weaving, okay? Number four, modern scientists often try to verify, confirm, make sure it's true, their ideas and theories by conducting extensive experiments in their laboratories. Number five, on a cold night, what I, not goad, but hanker for, what I really want, for most is a hot bowl of chicken soup. Can't stand chicken soup. I can't. I'm very weird as an eater. I hanker for a bowl of like buttered popcorn.
Butter.
I don't like butter popcorn.
I don't like chicken soup, and therein lies our charm. Number six, the man was not just a little careless in handling the club's funds. He was downright dishonest. Super duper, really, really dishonest. Number seven, the American people must take action right now to deal with the problem of pollution. I do worry about this one that looms so large on our horizon. It's almost here. We see it coming as far as a problem goes. And important, this is a problem of ours. Well, it's not an important loom. I need a noun here. So I'm going to say that this thing that I'm weaving a rug on is really important. No. An important constituent, an important piecey part of what is commonly called luck is the willingness to take chances when an opportunity appears. If you are a part of sixth grade, if you are a constituent of sixth grade, it doesn't always have to mean voter. Like for this one, it can mean that it's just Constituent is just a part of something. Number 9, neither threats nor force will, not hanker me, because that means want, will goad me. I keep losing, there it is. Will goad me into doing something that in my heart I know is wrong. Not going to try to push me into it when you're goading me. Number 10, in his many years in Congress, he has been, well, miscellaneous is like various things in the bottom of your book bag. So it's got to be animated, but let's see why. Because we are talking about a congressman who's animated. He has been animated mainly by a strong desire to help the underdogs in our society. If there's something, a topic that you get really animated about, it means you can talk a long time about it. You get very excited when you're talking about it. It's like Miss Liz with grammar. The woman gets so excited when she's talking about a Lincoln verb.
Why?
Why?
Girl,
I love Lincoln verbs.
she all over the place. Yes, and she's good. I had her do part of her lesson of the synonyms for the word walk yesterday for me
Oh, gosh.
during the teachers meeting. Girl sashayed. Oh, and I forgot meander, and then she meandered back. Oh, she's brilliant. But she gets real animated when she gets excited about something, just like this congressman here. Number 11, Glenn has such a store of, well, not downright information. I'm not mad at the info. Just miscellaneous information. A little bit of this and that in his head that we've nicknamed him the encyclopedia. These books aren't that old, but it might be time to update
I know.
because I don't know many people who use an encyclopedia anymore. Like it should probably say Wikipedia. You know?
But the thing is, it's a nickname and it's longer than one.
This is true. Number 12, by Friday afternoon, all of us were hankering. We were really wanting for a relaxing, enjoyable weekend. All right, so that's what I got. Now we're going to find our place in The Outsiders. Has anyone been noticing on your Shelby that I have been, that there has been a folder reminding you that on Thursday you have your poetry recitation. Stop, please. Nature's first green is gold, her heart is hue to hold, her early leaf a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down today, nothing gold can stay.
I definitely know that.
I don't
I can't.
study yet.
I know that. I know that solo.
Let's find our page. Yes, sir.
I forgot my iPad. You don't need your iPad.
We're not really doing a lot of worky work right now. We will get there. We need to find out what's going to happen to Johnny. Then we will take a day to answer our questions. Okay, so let me get off of this and get on the right thing.
Johnny will suffer.
There is the Robert Frost poetry recitation. Outsiders. And I'm just going to start clicking while I tell Emmy and Tajel's Row, get your iPads.
So it counts as fifth grade?
Yes. It has since I did it when I was in 7th.
I'm pretty sure. Most people are lying now. On this
I was just like saying it to myself in my head.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Hampton's Row?
Wait, what happened?
You know they are. Right?
Elliot's Row and Lily's Row, the rest of you. I believe we're on a clean chapter 7. I believe we are on 85.
No, we got past all that.
Yeah, because I read half that page and then
Half of this one.
Dude, stop.
Keller was interrupted.
Yes, it was.
I remember exactly what it was.
Sorry.
Even my niece and nephew, because literally you have
You have
Everyone has corona.
my God.
Okay, so if Keller was interrupted, that takes us to 88. 88.
Yay!
Yep, found it. I left a mark on it.
I did not know it's what Hitchcock.
Yes.
88.
Keller, since I actually recall,
I'm still waiting.
you're at Tulane. Since I actually recall it was you, I was just going to say I'll start with you, but you're waiting for your Slade? The little slide? Okay. Yeah, you actually weren't here. We are on this page, so you do have a little catching up to do.
It was page
On it.
88.
But still, when it comes to, say, questions, answers, quizzes, there's a little look back if you've read the whole thing and you're kind of waiting. So we do want to get to the part, and they don't know about everything with Johnny. So I'm waiting for that, which is only one of the climaxes before we start answering our questions. So Christian, could you start on this page for us, please?
At the top, right?
Yes, sir.
I thought sleepily that I should at least pull off my shoes, but I didn't. I went to sleep the minute Derry tossed me on the bed. I'd forgotten how soft the bed really was. I was the first one up the next morning. Soda must have pulled my shoes and shirt off for me. I was still wearing my jeans. He must have been too sleepy to undress himself, though. He lay stretched out beside me, fully clothed. I wiggled out under his arm and pulled the blanket up over him. Then went to take a shower. Asleep, he looked a lot younger than going on 17. But I noticed that Johnny looked younger when he was asleep too, so I figured everyone did. Maybe people are younger when they're asleep. After my shower, I put on some clean clothes and spent 5 minutes or so hunting for a hint of beard on my face and mourning over my hair. That bum haircut made my ears stick out.
And mourning is a word that I'm getting in almost every book I'm doing right now. And of course, this is the you mourning, meaning being sad. Yeah. Big question. Why would people look younger when they're asleep? Yes, ma'am.
Their eyes.
Their eyes are closed, and that part of them looks younger. Why do you think, though? I agree that that's around the area where they look younger. Yes, ma'am.
Maybe because like if they have eye bags, their eye bags don't show as much.
Oh, I know.
True. Yes.
They lose weight when they sleep.
No. Why? Why?
They're not eating.
You look old when you eat?
Basically, they're laughing.
If you are asleep, if you're asleep in a standard sleep, you're not talking, are you?
Oh no.
You really don't dream the whole night, so you're not really thinking, right? Are you stressed out when you're asleep?
No.
No. No, we're not doing a what if right now because she would have given us the what ifs. And we're answering why I've got a whole bunch of characters in my novels who look almost like angels when they're asleep. We had one evil woman in Of Mice and Men. Now she wasn't asleep, she was dead. It's the long sleep. But we had to analyze in my 7th and 8th grade why this evil devil woman looked like an angel and innocent when she was dead.
Because they can die.
She wasn't giving people the mean, I don't like you face. You think about it, okay? When you are mad or when somebody's mad at you, don't you kind of crinkle up parts of your face and give them, once again, the stank eye or the hairy eye. And then when you do that, you're creating those wrinkles even if you really don't have them. And you can see sometimes, can't you see sometimes the stress, not just on friends' faces or something like that, but can't you see, don't you know when your parents or grandparents or older people in your life, don't you know when they're stressed out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't you see it before they say anything?
Yes.
And for real. And some days they might look older,
Yes.
and other times when they're kind of laughing and happy, they might look younger. It's like magic. You know what I'm saying? So these boys, even though you're dealing with 14 to 20, for dairy-year-old boys. They have so much stress in their life. They're constantly stressed out. They're constantly worried. Y'all, people are dying around them, you know? The police are after them. There's stress that we don't understand in their life. So that when Johnny was sleeping up at the abandoned church at Jay's Mountain, he looked like a little boy. Because when he's awake, all of his worry, his anxiety, and his stress, it does show on your face. Yeah, it really does. Keller, what were you going to say?
I'm going to say I got a letter.
Oh, okay. Do you want to take over with Derry was still asleep?
Sure. Derry was still asleep when I went to the kitchen to fix breakfast. The first one up had to fix breakfast, and the two others did the dishes. That's one rule around our house. And usually Derry is the one who fixes the breakfast, and me and Sid are who are left with the dishes. I hunted through the icebox and found some eggs. We like our eggs done differently. I like them hard. Jerry likes them in bacon and tomato sandwich, and so does Pop eats his with grape jelly. All three of us like chocolate cake for breakfast. Mom never allowed it with ham and eggs, but Jerry and soda. But Jerry likes soda and me talk him into it. We really didn't have to kiss his arm. Jerry loves chocolate cake as much as we do. Santa Pop always makes sure that there's some in the icebox every night, even if he cooks one up really quick. I like Jerry's cakes better. Santa Pop puts too much sugar in the icing. I don't like how he stands jelly and eggs and chocolate cake all at once. But he seems to like it. Derry drinks black coffee, and Sarah, Pop, and I drink chocolate milk. We could have coffee if we wanted to, but we like chocolate milk. All three of us are crazy about chocolate stuff. Soda says if they ever make a chocolate cigarette, I'll have made it.
Listen, I can tell you as a mama with 4 kids, and I always try to have some type of baked good in the house. And no one ever agrees, so there tends to be 2. No one ever agrees about what they like. You know, everyone, I'm a short order cook when I go home, basically. But I will tell you that is deep commitment. In a time in the 1960s that you don't just run out to the grocery store and buy a Duncan Hines box of cake mix, add water, some eggs, and oil, and you got yourself a chocolate cake. Yum. Girl, now, ain't no shame, it's what I do. I mean, my grandmama is judging me from heaven right now that I use a box cake, but I'm busy. But we gonna have some cake. Y'all, these teenagers, every night they make sure, let me check the fridge and make sure there's some chocolate cake. And if there's not, I got time. I'll quick make one. Teenagers. And no judgment, because I'm the mother of 3 of them, but teenage boys. Teenage boys every night make sure that there's chocolate cake in their refrigerator.
Seriously?
Well,
That is commitment. And I understand that it is just chocolate cake, but that is a form of responsibility too. Even though it's junk food and dessert, I get it. But it's still like we got to make sure everything's got to be normal. If we don't have chocolate cake, everything's going to fall apart. Is there chocolate cake? Do we have one slice? I'm going to make the chocolate cake. I'll stay up. I'll make the chocolate cake. That is commitment. And that's commitment to making sure things are running smoothly and normal. And we're going to be okay as long as we have chocolate cake.
we need chocolate cake.
It's our normal.
Since we're thinking about chocolate cake, can you bring us some?
I love them for that, though. I really do. And by the way, as far as eating it for breakfast, my kids almost had me convinced, Mom, it has milk and eggs in it. It basically is already breakfast. What's your deal?
My dad considers when I eat Cheeto Puffs, he considers it
Protein.
as me eating corn or me eating grits.
I'm really not sure what you're eating when you eat those, but I get it. Yeah, I saw a hand up over here. Yes.
So how come
teenage boys can show commitment to chocolate cake, but not commitment to anything else in their life.
Well, I will once again, you caught that shade, I heard it. They're not real.
Hey, what?
These guys right here.
You knew.
Completely made up. But they caught your shade, so you good job. Hampton, save yourself, honey. Can you start reading with anybody home?
Anybody home? A familiar voice called to the front screen, and Two-Bit and Steve came in. We always just stick our heads into each other's houses and holler, "Hey," and walk in.
Yeah.
Our front door is always unlocked in case one of the boys is hacked off at his parents and needs a place to lay over and cool off. We never could tell who we'd find stretched out on the sofa in the morning. It was usually Steve, whose father told him about once a week to get out and never come back. It kind of bugs Steve, even if his old man does give him $5 or $6 the next day to make up for it. Or it might be Dally, who lived any way he could. Once we even found Tim Shepard, leader of the Shepherd gang and far from his own turf. Reading the morning paper in the armchair, he merely looked up and said, "Hi," and strolled out without staying for breakfast. Two-Bit's mother warned us about burglars, but Derry, flexing his muscles so that they bulged like oversized baseballs, drawled that he wasn't afraid of any burglars, and that we didn't really have anything worth taking. He'd risk a robbery, he said, if it meant keeping one of the boys from blowing up and robbing a gas station or something. So the door was never locked.
Yeah, and actually fairly typical. If we're dealing with the early 60s, it kind of was more than not. I mean, people left their front doors unlocked. It would have been strange, the lower crime rate at the time.
That would have been nice to at first have our doors
Yeah.
locked and we can just go.
And in my family growing up, and as I think true for all really old school Southern people, on the weekends, but particularly on a Sunday, you always, well, first of all, you had to have a screen door on your front door and then your front door. Close the screen door, open up your front door, because you never know who might come by, and they should just be welcomed on in. It would have been considered rude in my family on the weekends to have your front door closed. Uh-huh. To the point where when I go, my mother lives down the street from me. When I go home today, if she's home, because girl, I mean, she does love to travel around. But if my mother is home, my entire neighborhood, which is a lot of Timmerman people, know that my mom is going to have her screen door closed. It's glass, the storm door, but her front door is open. And you can see the silhouette of her sitting on her couch on her iPad, because girl's a gamer. Yeah. And then they know, they know that they can just go up, knock, ring the doorbell, she'll let them in, probably feed you. Yeah.
Well, you see,
It's
now irregular to see anyone under 14 to be alone.
Excuse me?
Well, actually, one of her frequent visitors is Griffin Wolf Rogers. My mother feeds him all the time.
Who's Griffin Will Waters?
He was an 8th grader here last year. Yeah, lives around the corner from her.
Excuse me?
Uh-huh.
It's weird how when there's like always this child who comes up to a door, or any person that comes up to a door, to like say mom, so just be like, "You look thin, let's fatten you up, get you some food." I don't like it.
That's weird.
Usually,
Oh no, it's just if you're a guest in my mother's home, the first thing she's gonna say, "Are you thirsty? Can I get you something to drink?"
Yeah.
And then once she offers you the drink and you've been there for a little bit, if she knows clearly you're staying, she'll be like, "Well, what? You a little hungry? Can I get?" I mean, it's always next. Yeah. Can we talk about Steve though? Remember when Pony Boy told you so long ago that he actually said hated, which is a strong word, that he hated Steve, and he said Steve was a bully. And as far as the gang members, Steve, he said, gave him the hardest time out of anybody. Remember that? And he used the word hate and he used the word bully. And look at what we read right here. Steve sometimes doesn't want to go home because it says his father told him about once a week to get out and never come back. Does it not seem to you that Steve lives with a bully?
Yeah.
You know, they say those people who are bullies are actually bullied themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe Steve is acting that way because of his dad. Yes, sir. Sure.
So it's not really Steve's fault.
No, you still have to take some responsibility for your own actions, but it's always good to understand the why.
Why? The
Yeah,
reason.
the why. Okay, Gabrielle, could you take over for us with "In Here I Yelled"?
In here, I yelled for being that Darian said her pop was still asleep. John slammed the door. He slammed the door, of course, and Peter came running into the kitchen. He caught me by the upper arms and swung me around, ignoring the fact that I had 2 uncooked eggs in my hand. Hey, Pony Boy, he cried gleefully. Long time no see. You would have thought it had been 5 years instead of 5 days since I'd seen him last. I didn't mind. I like what Tia did. He's a good buddy to have. He spun me into Steve, who gave me a playfully slap on my bruised back and shoved me across the room. One of the eggs went flying. It landed on the clock and I tightened my grip on the other one so that it crushed and ran all over my hand.
Well, there goes breakfast. But in Steve's own way, it was a playful slap. Maybe he didn't realize how bad Ponyboy's back was. Remember, Dally hit it because, you know, Ponyboy's back was on fire. You got to hit to try to get the fire out, right? I think it's about the best that Steve can do. He's trying to be nice. He's trying. But if you grow up harsh,
He'll never do that.
thank you. Yeah.
You're gonna be used to it.
Yeah. All right. Elliot, can you start down there at the bottom, 89, with "Now look what you did"?
Now look what you did. I grabbed our breakfast. Can't you two wait till I set down the eggs before you go shoving me all over the country? I really was a little mad because I just realized how long it had been since I'd eaten anything. The last thing I'd eaten was a hot fudge sundae at the Dairy Queen in Windrexville, and I was hungry. Two-Bit was walking in a slow circle around me. I sighed because I knew what was coming. Man, Dig Baldy here. He was staring at my head as he circled me. I wouldn't have believed it. I thought all the wild Indians in Oklahoma had been tamed. What a little squaws. God, that tough looking mouth of yours, Pony Boy. I'll lay off, I said. I wasn't feeling too good in the first place. Kind of like I was coming down with something. Two-Bit winked at Steve, and Steve said why he had to get a haircut to get his picture in the paper. They'd never believe a greasy-looking mug could be a hero. How do you like being a hero, Big Shot?
Hey, first time, and we're on 90 of 153. First time she actually, S.E. Hinton, Susan Eloise Hinton, she tells us what our setting is. Because it's really never mattered. The time mattered, right? Remember when we were talking about comparing these gangs to modern day gangs? Yeah? I can tell you there is no gang member that my husband might know and represent in the court of law who is going to go around quoting Robert Frost poems. Which, by the way, is due Thursday. Nature's first green is golden, hard to hold her early leaf of flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down today. Nothing gold can stay. There is not one folk, crip, or blood who's going to sit there and do that. So when our setting matters, it's kind of time period. 50s, 60s-ish. But Two-Bit's talking about Oklahoma, and that is where S.E. Hinton went to school. Yes, ma'am. It just did, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I saw your hand. It just never mattered before. Sometimes the where doesn't matter. Sometimes the when doesn't matter. You don't always get a complete setting when you're reading a story, and that's sometimes on purpose. Yes, ma'am.
It also gives you a little hint. In the first of the first paragraph on page 90, it says, "Last thing I eaten was a hot fudge sundae at Dairy Queen in Windricksville."
So then I might have to Google Windricksville. I know it's not South Carolina because I've never been lucky enough to get to a Dairy Queen. So I'm tired of seeing their commercials. It's like they're taunting me.
You've never been to Dairy?
I've never been to
Where is a Dairy Queen in South Carolina?
Exactly.
The only thing we have that might be anywhere close to it is a Rush's, and they don't have all the different little things I can put in. And if you about to tell me it's in Lexington, it may as well be in Virginia, because Mama's not going to Lexington. Yes, ma'am.
I live in Lexington.
It says that it's a fictitious.
I'm glad you come here to visit.
It looks like it's a fictitious town.
At Windricksville, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know, when she's talking about the guys sometimes ride horses and Broncos and things like that, I don't know why, but my mind immediately wants to float to Texas. You know, that's what I'm thinking, right? It's just the where has never mattered, but this is clearly a different time period. Remember, what are they listening to? The Beatles and Elvis.
Yeah.
That's what's on their radio. Yeah. When we go next week to do our kind of drive-in, you know, movie where we're going to sit outside on the screen, bring a blanket or something you can sit on, by the way. When we're going to watch Hocus Pocus next week, we're kind of going to get that feel of a drive-in theater, right?
It takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to get that kind of 50s feel. As a matter of fact, I'm really hoping that part of my costume arrives today.
What part?
Thank you, Amazon Prime. Well, I have multiple costume changes for that night. One has to match the trunk for the treat, and the other's got to be your drive-in movie hostess. Yes, ma'am.
Last week I went to a drive-in movie at River Bluff,
Yes.
and it was a lot of fun. And it was like there were so many people there.
It'll be neat, yeah. But you know, we get the time when it comes to little hints like that. Gabrielle and Elliot was last. Sona. How about the how do I like what? Do you see it there in the middle? We're going to explain why he's a hero now. Never thought about that. But while Sona's reading it, when you think about the Gone with the Wind, the gallant Southern gentleman that Johnny was really wanting to be like, yeah, think about that while Sona reads. Go, girl.
How do I like what? Being a hero, you know. He shoved the morning paper at me impatiently, like a big shot even. I stared at the newspaper. On the front page of the second section was the headline, "Juvenile Delinquents Turn Heroes." What I like is the turn bit, Two-Bit said, cleaning the egg up off the floor. Y'all were heroes from the beginning. You didn't just turn all of a sudden. I hardly heard him. I was reading the paper. The whole page was covered with stories about it. The fight, the murder, the church burning, the socials being drunk, everything. My picture was there with Jerry and Soda Pop. The article told how Johnny and I had risked our lives for saving those little kids. And there was a comment from one of the parents who said they would have all burned to death if it wouldn't have been for us. It told the whole story of a fight with the socials, but they didn't say socials because most grown-ups don't know about the battles that go on between us. They had interviewed Cherry Valens, and she said Bob had been drunk and that the boys had been looking for a fight when they took her home. Bob had told her he'd fix us for picking up his girl. His buddy Randy Anderson, who had helped lump us, also said it was their fault and that we'd only fought back in self-defense.
Let me stop you there because you just went from an incredibly long paragraph to about a whole page paragraph. And I do have Randy's name now highlighted. Randy's been in every one of these jumpings. Yeah, when a Soch gets out of a blue Mustang, Randy's been there. But this is really when we get his name. Yeah, he was briefly mentioned with Marcia and Cherry at the drive-in that night with Pony and Johnny, right? But it's Bob who was killed because Bob was attacking Ponyboy and trying to drown Ponyboy, right? But now Randy, don't forget, and I don't think you will, but let's just keep him in the back of our mind. Don't forget his name. Let me pause you right there, Sen, and actually go here. This is one of my favorite quotes of the whole book. Most people walk away from The Outsiders, as I did too, my first 12 times reading it, that Johnny looks like a little puppy who's been kicked too many times. It's mentioned at least 3 times in the book, okay? My favorite, as many times as I've read it now, 2-Bit is the one that has my favorite quote. Y'all were heroes from the beginning. You just didn't turn all of a sudden. I think that sometimes people don't know their inner strength and that they can be heroes, that they've been heroes the whole time until they're faced with something to do that's heroic. Yeah? And you don't know if you'd run into a burning building that had kids screaming in it. When was the last time you walked by one?
Never.
Thank you. You don't know if you would try to go inside and grab a can of tuna and open it up to save a little kitten in a tree. When was the last time that happened?
Never.
Yes,
All right, all the people that call firemen to get a kitten out of the tree, please go inside and get a can of tuna. If they got up it, they can get down it, okay? They're cats. You don't know. You don't know if you're a hero until you're put in that position. And then you might surprise yourself, but it was with you all along. And that's why I love, after reading it so many times, this is my go-to quote. Yeah, I get that it's still Johnny, puppy, kicked. I feel bad. But it's 2-Bit that just makes me feel better. Like, I don't like that they said y'all turned heroes. You've always been heroes. And it's exactly what Johnny wanted to be. Because when they were reading Gone with the Wind, he didn't care about the history, the Civil War, romanticizing slavery, anything like that in Gone with the Wind. Johnny was really hip and into how brave and what great manners the guys had in it. I want to be like that one day. I want to learn to say please, thank you, sir, and ma'am automatically without thinking about it. And I want to go around saving women, children, and cute little kittens. This is what Johnny wanted to be, and guess what? He did it. He did it. All right, Lily. Sort of, kinda, 91. I had to give Olsona a break. Do you see where it says 1, 2, 3, the 4th line, but they were charging Johnny?
Yeah.
Cool. We finally get what the police are going to charge him with.
But they were charging Johnny with manslaughter. Then I discovered.
It's okay.
Then I discovered that I was supposed to appear at juvenile court for running away,
Right.
and Johnny was too, if he recovered. Not if I thought again. Why do they keep saying if? For once there weren't any charges against Deli, and I knew he'd be mad because the paper made him out a hero for saving Johnny and didn't say much about his police record, which he was kind of proud of. He'd kill those reporters if he got hold of them. There was another column about Derry and Soda and me, how Derry worked on 2 jobs at once and made good at both of them, and about his outstanding record at school. It mentioned Soda Pop dropping out of school so we could stay together, and that I made the honor roll at school all the time and might be a future track star. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm on the A squad track team, the youngest one. I'm a good runner. Then it said we shouldn't be separated after we had worked so hard to stay together.
Yeah, and I know that we got a reaction when Lily first read, and I'll go back up here, that Johnny was being charged with manslaughter and instead of say something with self-defense in it. The manslaughter kind of sort of has self-defense in it, but let me remind you, remember Pony Boy was being drowned. So if they had waited for the police and stayed there and kept the crime scene pristine and perfect, well, the charges might be different. But when they ran, the crime scene ran away with them. How are they supposed to know, the police, that Pony Boy was almost drowned? You don't have a boy there trying to cough up old stanky fountain water who's completely soaked and wet because that boy ran. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I only see a dead kid here bleeding out. There's only one. I wonder what all this water's doing around here is probably what the police are saying. I have no idea how many people were here. Let me look around for footprints or something. The crime scene ran away. They should have stayed. Yeah? And let the police do their work. And they didn't. They ran. So, manslaughter, it's not a murder charge. It's not murder, which means I'm going to get you and I mean to. Because he didn't. So, I mean, he could still beat it. But he's got to get in court. And they shouldn't have run away. They took that crime scene and they made a very, very difficult investigation for those police officers. A very difficult one. Right? Because the police officers, once again, were probably looking around going, I wonder why all this water is everywhere. This is crazy. Did it rain tonight and no one told me? What is this? It would appear that this fountain used to have more water in it, but now it's all out here. And it didn't rain. I mean, you don't run away from a crime scene. And you always tell the police. Okay? All right. Thank you. Although if my husband watches this video, I am also supposed to tell you that you have a right to remain silent. That anything that you say or do can be held against you in a court of law. I am married to an attorney, so. It stopped? Why? No, battery. It didn't really stop. It's just tired. It's been a long day for the old phone. All right, Lily Billy, thank you so much. Bray Leon, the meaning of that last line, I think.
That line,
Yeah.
last line finally hit me. He made us so hard. If they're thinking about putting me and Soda in a boys' home or something, Steve was carefully pulling back his hair and complicated source. Something like that. I sat down in the days. We couldn't get a hold of now. Not after me and Barry had finally got through to each other. And now that big rumble was coming up, we knew it would settle the so screw their thing once and for all.
Yeah.
Not now, when Johnny needed us and Dolly was still in the hospital and wouldn't be out for the rumble. Now I said out loud and knew that he was scraping the egg off the top. Turned straight. Now what? You did something.
Ready for the on deck.
One more. Stop, please.
No, they are going to put us in a boys' home.
All right, sorry, Miss Vaughn.
Good
92.
afternoon. I hope you're all packed up and ready for carpool.